You can listen to my Total Life soundtrack as a playlist on Apple, Tidal, Spotify. Just check out Norris Ryan's Songology. So, I mean, there was a Sam Goody in the mall. We used to have a couple of, man, I can't remember exactly what the music store is now that I'm a little bit older, off West Florissant. I used to go to. Another thing as I talk through, and like church is important to me at this point in my life. Like my mother, she loved music as well, but she would not allow music with cursing in it originally in the house. So some of my first songs, particularly when we talk about hip hop, I actually bought them at Walmart because they had the edited version of songs. So I remember listening to, at that time, Puff Daddy and the Family. Like, this is after Big had passed, and they had a compilation album. That was all super edited. I had a cousin though. She would take me out to the record store and stuff. This is at the same time like No Limit and all this other stuff was really coming up. That's when I would be able to kind of buy those songs with a little bit of cursing in it. And then another thing too I was thinking about is I don't know if you remember this, but they used to have where you can like buy like 5 CDs for like 10 cents or something like that. And so my mom would get some songs, like get some stuff from there, like CDs, things of that nature. And I convinced her to get All Eyes on Me. So that was another one, but she liked Pac as well. So where I can start kind of really transitioning into like more rugged hip hop and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely, I can definitely remember going in and like looking at whether it's a single, whether it's albums. At that point in time too, we still had a record player, so vinyl was still something that we looked at, and tape and cassettes. Like, I can tell you how many cassettes we used to have, like of both singles and albums, where you had to always go back and rewind them and stuff like that. But a lot of things, a lot of memories coming out of those stores. I'm Norris Ryan. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri. I have a younger brother. Just growing up in St. Louis, I grew up in a church. I have a very stoic father. I have a mother who epitomizes like what you would think of as a black woman that grows up in the church and making sure that she's your prototypical church mom. So I take from both of those individuals. I am taken. I'm happily married. I met my wife at Tuskegee University. I attended Tuskegee and graduated from there in 2007. Once I graduated, I stayed around for a little bit, did some research and stuff in Tuskegee as well. From there, I then started to work. My background is electrical engineering, so I've been in the field of engineering for the majority of my time since graduating. Currently, I work here in the Cincinnati area where my main job is as a program manager. So I take the skill set of engineering and use that to solve complex problems. So I was thinking through so I'm going through all of the phases of life. So I just remember 2004, I was at Tuskegee. At this point in time, I had crossed Alpha. I'm hyped, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is when you think about phases in life, right? Being a part of frat, going to college, making a certain amount of money. These don't necessarily define or make you, but you can't really tell nobody nothing at that point, because that's what's important to them at that point in time in your life. And I just felt like that album, particularly that mixtape, pulled so much stuff together, and the intro of it just resonated with me. So no matter your background, right? Because you would have homies who real buttoned up, I'm talking about button their collars all the way up, going to class all day, going to a school like Tuskegee. You have folks that came from other situations that may have been in the streets or very close to it, and etc. It didn't matter. And this is kind of where we're really starting to grow the trap music, and you being in the South at the same time. And just hearing that first, last time I checked, I was the man in these streets. you couldn't tell me nothing, right? Like I had my little car, my little Grand Dam. I could, speakers. They was factory, but I'm gonna turn them all the way up. And I think back now, like in that point in time where trap music was really starting to take off, and just kind of being in the epicenter of the South while all of that stuff was happening, you can really see how that's going to resonate all the way up until now. I go to a gym, where, the majority of the individuals predominantly there are not black, but we listen to trap music because of like the heavy bass, the heavy drums, and like how it makes you feel. And at that point in time, like as we're starting to expand on like what it is that trap music would become, it was a specific feeling. It took me to just a place like where I really felt like I was the man. That same summer, I will eventually meet my future wife. I'm transitioning and trying to really understand who I am as a man. I didn't know a lot, but you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to figure some stuff out, and it all really kind of resonated and kind of started with, that mixtape. It was something that was played all the time, and it just took me back to that place of being back at Tuskegee, being in Alabama, being in the South, where trap music was really finna take off. It's another moment in time where it's more about family. And as I've gotten older, I recognize that I probably need to do more with my extended family and like how we connect. And so as I think back on it, and as I was thinking through the opportunity to pick like tracks, it took me to a place of, New Year's Eve. So my aunt would play that song on New Year's Eve when me, my brother, and all my cousins would be at her house. And, it was a great time because now we're at a period of time. I'm not quite a preteen. So I may be like 9, 10 years old, maybe a little bit before that, maybe 7, 8 years old. So my brother's a couple years behind me. I have cousins in that range that are still there with us all the way up until I had a cousin that was 1 or 2 years older than me. And we would all go to my aunt's house who lived in Jennings, Missouri. And it was a very, very small house. But you can just imagine 8 to 10 folks in there, pallets on the floor. She had a Super Nintendo, so we had something to do. And we would just have fun. And it was just so simple, but yet so intimate. And like my aunt, like my T, she would make, all she would do was like she'd fry some chicken, make some green beans, some rice, something that'd feed us all. But it was like the best meal you can have because we also knew at that time you got that sparkling Butcher's grape juice. And when you little, you always think you drink it, but man, that thing right there, it was, yeah, that was happiness to me. And so we stay up so late, and she'd pull out that little 45, Auld Lang Syne, and put it on soon as like 11:58, 59 hit. And we just sit there and listen to it. Call my mom and call my dad and wish them Happy New Year because they stayed up. They probably happy because we out the house. And my T took all their responsibility at that time, but it was just the connection of it all. And we got up and she cooked us breakfast, and it was just a great time for us all to be together. And I remember those specific memories. And honestly, I miss them. Like, I miss them. Everybody's around the country, like, got some folks in the South, some in the West Coast, and some still back home in St. Louis. But, those were the simpler times where I had so much fun and didn't even realize it at that point in time. The memories that you're making that you may not relive again. So my boo is a funny one because like I try to think about songs like in different phases of my life. And I can specifically remember and hearing that song when I was in junior high. And, at that point in time, for me, I was a very shy young man. I learned a lot growing up just based on the dynamic of individuals around me. And I was blessed in that manner of the people that I was, born and raised with, in the part of St. Louis that I grew up in. But like I just specifically remember there was this one young lady that I liked a lot in junior high, and for some reason, My Boo by Ghost Town DJs was like the anthem for like when I thought about this particular young lady. And over time, you had so many different crushes, and you may crush on this person at that one point in time in the 7th grade. You can still hear the song. You may be crushing on somebody else at that point in time, but you was like, oh, that's my boo. I never told her, but that was my boo, right? And so it just really got me to a point where, as I thought through it, it's like you got to kind of get out of that shell and like come out of, even if it's with somebody dealing with the other sex or whatever. I was so insulated, but that song reminded me of so many different people. But how do I grow out of that to actually start approaching these young ladies at that point in time, or just establishing relationships in general? But the impetus of all of that was My Boo by Ghost Town DJs. I remember recording that. It's so funny. We were talking about cassettes. I'm old enough to remember, like I recorded like My Boo before I actually got the single off of the radio. Using an old tape, I had to put like the little Scotch tape on it to put it in there to record it, and I used to listen to it a lot at that point in time. But yeah, that it just took me back to some memories back when I was younger. So me and my wife, we as we got married, we actually played this at our wedding, right? Like it's just the symbolism of like combining as one, like what we're going to be, from a power circle perspective. And then, like, first off, I like Ross. Like, Ross to me he's not an underrated artist in our generation, but he is definitely a person that our generation will miss when that time comes where he retires or whatever it may be. I just think the way that he can pick, like, rhythmically the music that he spits over, the bars, everything, it resonates with me. And then, having somebody like him open it, and then having somebody like Gunplay just like raw gutter come on the track and just spit, and then end it with somebody like Kendrick. Like to me, like the breadth of people on the track is just like so powerful, and I think it represents so much. And then just the symbolism behind what the power circle is. So the reason that me and my wife picked the song, it's like, together and collectively we can do anything, right? Like this is a circle that's powerful. No one's gonna break this. Like we can symbolize this with our rings, things of that nature. So it pulled me to that point in time where I'm outside of college. I've been working and doing all these other different things. Now I'm starting this next phase of my life with my wife, and so it was just important that we had a song that kind of. You're a little younger, so it's like, we R&B, all of the love songs are one thing, but what about a track like this that can speak to both of us and like what we trying to represent? And I think Power Circle like does that perfectly for us. Just to be respectful to the elders and stuff like that, we only played the instrumental, but it was so funny. My little brother, he came to us, as you going around and you meeting all the guests and stuff, and he was like, "Did y'all play Power Circle?" We was like, "Yeah," as we came down the steps. It was pretty cool. Like, we liked it. It's between us and some other folks that heard it, but, we know what it represents to us. Make sure you check out special scenes and behind-the-scene footage from my episode at iwptv.com.